It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Time for you to expect something wonderful.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Mark Husson, and this is the Mark Husson Astrology Hour, coming to you live on November 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. on the East Coast. How you doing? Oh, my gosh. I was just telling Jennifer Lakshmi Dove about my love of this time change, and I'm hoping Colorado passes a law to keep it this way forever, because taking that hour away from me just is not good. And studies back me up. We need our sleep. It feels good, doesn't it? I hope you guys are doing well. And if you're a first-time listener, or if you forgot how to get into the chat room or any of those things, go on over to 12radio.com. Look on the left-hand side of the page and click the link that says chat. And when you do, you'll come over to the Facebook page where you'll see some beautiful people, including Jennifer. And who else have we got? Let me just hit my comment section here. Well, it is quiet. I don't think anybody's here yet. So you guys are coming. It looks like you're listening, so I'm loving that. But thank you. If you want to come into the room, come on in. It is definitely, I think the time change does shake people up a little bit, but I'm happy to have you guys here. And I see Lynn's in the house. Thanks, Lynn. Good morning. It's good to have you here. Oh, you all are coming. Here you go. Good golly molly. It's time for Marky and the Mystics. I hope everyone is feeling fit as a fiddle and ready for love. Jackie Walsh. I didn't even have to look who that was, and it was you. I knew because of your amazing ability to work with words. Your wordsmithing is just top notch. Thank you. Truly welcome. Karen Erickson's in the house. Tiffany's in the house. Nadine's. Okay, you all were there. I just was not refreshing, right? Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Hey, and if you ever can't make it, it's always fine. I want you to always feel like you can listen and enjoy it anytime you want. We do. Jay puts these on demand for me. Jay Varvel, my amazing producer and amazing psychic, and also co-captain of the Carolyn and Jay metaphysical chat that happens right before me. So thanks, Jay. Welcome. To everybody. You know, it's a Leo moon. The moon is gonna shift out of Leo and go into Virgo. So I'm so glad I get you on the Leo moon so we can have a little bit of levity before we clean, because that's what we're gonna do today, right? We all got to get ready. The weather here is stunning. It is stunning in Colorado. I mean, I almost was like, oh, I forgot how lovely this weather can be. I mean, it gets down at the 30s at night, but it's like 70 today. It was 70 yesterday. Sunny, 70. The skies were blue. I don't want to make y'all jealous, but reason to live in Colorado was happening the last couple days. Now, snow is coming, which is another reason to live in Colorado, because I do love the snow. It gets peaceful and white. And I'm telling you, silence just fills the air. Now, I had to buy a snowblower. I had to buy a refrigerator. My untarnished credit cards are tarnished. That all happened in a week, last week. So, I mean, seriously, the refrigerator just died. Could not get anyone to come look at it. Nobody. I mean, I did Thumbtack. I use Thumbtack a lot because they don't charge the person. They just sort of track the person. But I couldn't get anybody to come. And it was just dead. I mean, it was like, wow, and it's so pretty. And then I was looking and researching, and they're like, after 10 years, you got to give it up. Mine's going on 13 years old. Okay, so whatever. That's life. You deal with it, right? You got to deal with it. What are you going to do? I have so little to complain about. I'm grateful for that. I really am. So this Leo moon, we're going to enjoy. I wanted to talk to you so much of these spinning little rocks are sending us a message, the sort of metaphor that they represent, right? They're not dictating your life. Don't get all hung up about that. They're not dictating your life. They're reflecting your life as you're reflecting theirs, right? It's all just as above, so below. I know the room is filling up. I'm going to come say hi to you guys, but come on in. And if you look to what the planets are reflecting back to us, you'll see, like, this is Scorpio time period. We expect that. Here's what's kind of funny. You know, at 12listen.com, we offer chat and we offer phone and we offer video. For the first time in our history, and Kat reminded me of this, Sun goes into Scorpio and we have more people doing chats than in our history. I mean, surpassing, like texting. It's like texting, calling their psychic advisors on a text, because it was like she said, suddenly we just go underground in the Scorpio time period. Isn't that funny? We just go underground. And it is kind of interesting because the thing that it reflects, like if you are a water sign, if you're a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio, or if you have some of that in you, you'll notice there's an ease of functioning. There's an ease of moving through the waters of life. It's just easier. But it's so easy also to forget how tough it was when stuff was in air, when you don't have a lot of air. So it's nice to pay attention, but the shift is subtle. And here we have now the Sun in Scorpio. We have Mars in Scorpio. We have Mercury in Scorpio. So we're kind of in. We're in the aquarium, whether you want to be or not. And for some of you, it's just suffocating as hell, right? I don't want to look that close. Some of you are dealing with death. Some of you are dealing with people close to you, with the concept of death. And it's like, I just want you to pay attention, to embrace it. I can't even explain how often the issue of how temporary life is comes under the Scorpio time period. I don't know if I have a lot of Scorpio in me, and if you have a lot of Scorpio in you, we've talked about this a million times. There's probably not a day that goes by you haven't thought about something terminating, something ending, someone you love leaving, something that's kind of wrenches your heart. And it's what's happening is we're preparing ourselves. Like, I think like every time I love so deeply, like I look in Duncan's eyes or Hobby's eyes, my little doggies, and there's being so loving and so sweet. And I have to immediately followed by, oh my God, someday you have to say goodbye. Why do I have to do that? I think I'm just taking care of the pain that I think I'll feel. And I think I'm just sort of massaging it in. That's what Scorpios do, sort of like just to bring it to awareness. So we're not so afraid. And and if you're not a Scorpio, if you don't know if you have a lot of Scorpio in you and you're doing that, that's what you're doing. You're bringing in the concept. And most of the air and fire signs are like, I don't think about that shit. No, I'm up and out. I don't want to bring it into my consciousness. And that's a legit way of dealing. Okay, that's how we have to deal sometimes. That's whatever it is. I go in, you might go out. And going in is not, I'm telling you, not the better way, not the less better way. It's just a way. Okay, we all deal with this stuff intensely. Okay, in our way. So that's the Scorpio stuff that's here. It's rolling around depending on where it is in your chart. And I'm encouraging you to kind of embrace it, to sort of, it's not going to be here forever. Sometimes we just have to look at some of these things and we sort of embrace them. And it does sort of, I heard Jay say it's a come to Jesus moment. Regardless of what you believe. I love that phrase. Because it's a moment to question, I'm watching Midnight Mass again on Netflix because I love the writer, Mike Flanagan. And John had never seen it. And we had just finished The Fall of the House of Usher. Brilliant stuff, you guys. I mean, to me, it's brilliant. And it edges into horror a little bit. Midnight Mass is far from the scariest thing you'll ever watch. It's actually about the relationships and it's about your belief. And there's a moment there where this woman had a miscarriage and it encouraged a dialogue between her and her friend about what happens when you die. And they both believed something very different. He believed that, his organism was going to just stop. The organisms that were still living on his eyelashes and on his skin would continue to take over. And eventually, as the energetic synapses go away, he he's gone. That's it for him. And he just contributed to giving, his body back to the earth. For her, it was more angelic and more going to heaven and more being reunited with people that you love in the past. It was like, okay. And what was beautiful about the moment is there was no judgment. It's like, he leaned over and he said, I hope you're right. Because it was such a happy ending, but we don't know. And Scorpio is the time to look at that stuff. What is your belief? And it is just belief, right? Because what happens is going to happen. And as you kind of bring that in, as you kind of sort of like swim in that in these Scorpio time periods, it can make life a little sweeter. It can, because you realize that there are certain inevitable truths and fundamental things that don't have anything to do with taxes. Inalienable rights. Don't have anything to do with government. So one thing that's kind of fun, and I think this is where churches and synagogues and mosques have it together, is the unity of uniting under a similar belief, right? There's something to that. There's something to that about life. When you unite with your friends and that believe the way you do, or that sort of like aren't offended by the way you believe, that's kind of nice. I think that's where, the whole politics over the last 7 years, 10 years, whatever, where you couldn't have Thanksgiving because that uncle believed this way and this aunt believes this way. And it's like, oh, the destruction of the family because we couldn't accept each other's beliefs. I was guilty, horribly guilty of it. But in religion, it's sort of, we can give people their, okay, that's what you believe. That's cool. Right. And so there's a tolerance there. And so I can see and I can understand why people unite under a roof, weekly, monthly, only on the big holidays, to kind of remind each other that we're all kind of, okay, we all kind of believe there's something going to happen when we die. That's what people on the roofs believe. I don't even care about sharing mine. If somebody asked me, I'd share, but I don't. I mean, what's the point? You don't know. I mean, some people are just absolutely adamant. This is what happens. I envy your conviction. I do. All right. So what I wanted to talk about a lot today was Saturn. Saturn is doing something that Saturn always does. It moves. It takes 2.5 years for Saturn to complete its mission in one sign. And it is a mission that Saturn gets on. It's in Pisces right now. It's at 0 degrees of Pisces. If you're on my newsletter, and I really would ask all of you to please sign up for the newsletter. I'm not encouraging you enough to do that, but I really want that thing to be celebrated because I send 2 little postcards announcing sales at 1 to Listen a week, maybe 3, but mostly you get the power peak and you get the chart for the show. It's not an abuse of your email, though people treat it like it is. But you go over to 12house.com and just sign up. I would really appreciate it. I love to see our numbers grow. It just gives me a good feeling. And if you aren't subscribed, if you are and you would tell a friend, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. But so Saturn is at 0. I sent the chart out. You'll see it at 0 Pisces. Now it is going to start a journey. It's already been there a little bit back and forth because these planets retrograde, they move backwards and then they go forward. And the numbers actually go backwards when the planet goes backwards, right? But Saturn stopped going retrograde at 0 Pisces. So we get a fresh start at 0 Pisces, and it's going to go forward for 2.5 years into Pisces, and it's going to transform Pisces. There's no question. It's going to transform people with Pisces moons. It's going to transform people with Pisces risings. What's transform mean? Are you going to be like leaving? No, it's a transformation of consciousness for real. And I'm going to explain it. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about it. It's gonna support water signs. So Scorpios, Cancers, Pisces, you're gonna feel a level of support. It's gonna support earth signs. It's going to really support air in a different way and fire in a different way, but I'm gonna explain those because those are really powerful supports. When So Saturn does a journey. If we're just going to isolate Saturn as a planet, when you are born, Saturn is in your chart. You take a breath, Saturn's somewhere in your chart, right? So if you were born today, Saturn would be in your chart at 0 degrees Pisces. And it does a certain timed evolution, and it's timed in that it's usually pretty consistent. Now, the non-perfect circle of the Earth so the non-linear orbits, they create a sort of different timing effect. So when I say at the age of 27, it might be 28 for you. It might be 29, like a couple year difference, but I'm going to give you some generalities. When you take your first breath, Saturn is there in your chart and you begin your first phase of the Saturn cycle, number 1, you get 3 on average. Okay. The first cycle, when you take your first breath, starts at birth. And then Saturn moves, okay, in the sky. It's moving, but the one in your chart stays the same. So of course, the planets keep spinning, but the picture we take of your chart at birth freezes. And if we're just going to pay attention to Saturn, in about 7 years, because Saturn is sort of like a 7-year planet, 7-year cycle, that's where maybe the 7-year itch came from. We're going to ignore Jupiter for the minute and all the other planets. We're going to just pay attention to Saturn, because Saturn is talking to us about our bodies, our physical existence here. And at the age of 7 is the first crisis. That's when you're probably in the 2nd grade now. You probably have learned stealing is bad, but you're not exactly sure the consequences of it. You're not exactly sure how bad, because you're still a baby, right? You know you're young, but you don't know the boundaries of society yet, and you're exploring and you're testing them. And 2nd grade, I can tell you, is you're kind of awake to the social mores around you, the societal pressures. You're aware of your mom and dad, right? If you have them, or if you don't have them, you're aware. You're aware of family unit. You're aware of structure. You're aware of kind of like what good behavior is. Okay, but it's this is the first time Saturn, it's called the Saturn square, where Saturn goes into another sign that is of the same composition of the one you were born in. So in other words, mutable. If you were born with today, right, in 7 years, Saturn is likely going to be in Gemini, and it's also the mutable air sign. So the first square of Saturn, 7 to 8 years old. So 7 to 8 is a big turning point for a lot of us, okay? And if you just pay attention to your life, it's sort of, it definitely has you'll recognize those as kind of important years, because it's not like 1st grade, which was really exciting. It's like the 2nd grade now. We're in this institution. And you might be trained at home, but still your consciousness is sort of becoming aware of the restraint, which is Saturn, on you, okay? Phase 2, 7 years later, is about the age of 14 to 15. Obvious problems there. This is the opposition of Saturn. And this is where you're too old to not know better, but you're also too young to really manage this, okay? This is hormonal years, right? This is where you might just be starting to learn how to drive. You're getting some wings here, okay? But everyone around you is still very much aware how you're driven by your hormone. How crazy you are at that age. How crazy you could be at that age. Not necessarily are, but could be. Could be. And you might think you know more than you do. And you might think your parents are kind of dull. And you might be pushing against them at this age. Now, sometimes we do it later, but this is the age. Everybody knows about this one, right? You're 16, you're 15. Okay, so this is the 2nd phase of Saturn, and the 3rd phase is when you hit 21 to 22. Okay, you're noticing the 7 year, 3 times 7 is 21. So you're also now at 21, you're an official adult. You can drink, you can vote, you can do adult things. There's nothing that is going to restrict you from watching an R-rated movie. But you still kind of rely on your family a little bit, maybe, right? You might be in college. You might be still needing some familial support. And so you're in that I have the world ahead of me sort of thing, but you're basically, I can leave home, but I can't really hit the runway yet. All right. So that's that's Saturn. Okay. That's going through the early phases, but there's one more, right? The second phase. So we talked about there's 3 cycles. I called them the cycles, and within those cycles are 4 phases. The cycle number 1 I just talked about. Okay. Now, because when you hit 28, 29, 30, everyone must know, but listening here, and if you haven't heard of it, it's called the Saturn return, where Saturn has now come back to its place where you were born with it. Okay. It's in the same sign that you were born. And at 28, 29, 30, big stuff happens. Okay. This is really the first big crisis of productivity. Who am I? What am I going to do? I'm an adult. I kind of have to leave home. If I'm still home, I got to figure out how to get out of here. A lot of you get married at this age, and a lot of you get divorced at this age. So you redefine who you are, like you redefine it, because all of a sudden it's sort of like the meaning of life and the need for your being planted a little more securely, because what you're about to be facing is ahead. And so Saturn return can sort of bring the crisis of awakening. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is real. So I'm 28, I'm 29. Big events. So look at them in your life in that way. Now, now we're entering now that second cycle, and the first phase of that, again, the 7 years, is going to be about the age of 36. Now, 36 is going to be a lot like your 7-year-old crisis, except at 36, you're kind of like, okay, remember it was like, I know it's bad to steal, but I'm going to try it anyway and see what happens, what the boundaries are. Here, it's kind of like, all my support is gone. I mean, there's no one, if I steal, there's no one's going to protect me. It's kind of like, oh God, I mean, 36 is when you start feeling like I just lost my childhood. And nobody really gets it, because I'm heading to my 40s and this is a little scary. Do y'all remember 36 feeling old? Those of you that aren't 36 yet, and those of you that are past 36, if you're past 36, you might remember the 36-year-old crisis, 37, 36, where you're just sort of like, oh, what am I doing? I'm going to be 40 soon. Ooh. Okay. And if you kind of go back into that moment, you're kind of like scared. It's not an easy one, because Saturn is squaring your Saturn, and you're not sure who's going to help. You're not sure where to reach out if you are going to help, if they are going to help. Women often have if you haven't had children at this point, that's another added pressure. So it depends on what societal mores you grew up around, but these pressures are big and real for 36-year-olds, 37, 36, and sometimes 35. But it's where you're starting to look at like, oh God, okay. And they do feel old. I think 36-year-olds feel old. They feel like they no longer are the youth of the 20s. They're not quite in the 40s and 50s yet, but they're looking at the doorway. And it can be an unfun time. Okay, in the last, right after 36, to add 7 to that, we get to about 44 to 46, that range. This is the considered to be where you are in the zone. Okay, this is the opposition, Saturn opposition. Okay, remember the first opposition I talked about was when you were 15 or 16, you just got your license. You're kind of feeling badass, but you're not, you still some restrictions, and everybody else is telling. See, oppositions are compatible elements. I hope I haven't lost anybody. Don't worry about those details. That's why I don't talk about them. But if you're having a Saturn opposition right now, then you have Saturn in Virgo. It's the opposite of Pisces, right? So your opposition is compatible elements. Virgo's earth, Pisces is water. So in the opposition, again, now it's your second opposition. So guess what? You're a little more familiar. And you're starting to like rethink about your sexuality, right? 15 years old, 16-year-old. You're looking at repairing maybe. How's your sex life? Are you still looking good? Are you, it's like you might be going to spending a little more money on cosmetic surgery because you want to look hot, to be in the latter group, right? It's like, what happened to 36? That just flew by. Now we're looking at 50. Okay. We're looking at 55, whatever. And I want to look good. So you're starting to think about things differently. What turns you on? Where's your creativity happening? What projects are you picking up? What skills are you good at? What should I go back to school? Should I, not yet. Let's just continue to be good at what we're doing now. Right. And so, that's a big one. You also might be starting to lose people that you were like grandparents or parents, or you might be starting to lose them around this time period, or the thought of losing them, which is the opposition, right? If you're a Saturn and Virgo person right now, you're having your Saturn opposition or you're about to. But if you're in your mid 40s, if you're pushing toward 50, you're pretty much here with this opposition now, and maybe asking questions like that. When we get to 52, like 52, 53, we're in that last square. Now it's like the same as when you hit 21, right? And 22, you're free, but you're also scared. You're considered an adult by everybody, but you're scared, right? Remember that one? Well, at 52-ish, you're starting to think maybe like I need to do something to ensure my productivity at a later age, because now we're in the 50s. Not quite 60, but you feel good, but you're noticing a decline. You're noticing things are maybe, okay, I'm still vital. I want to check that all body parts work. I want to still look good. And whatever that crisis is, now these crises will vary based on how you've dealt with your own personal Saturn. But whatever that crisis is, you might start wanting to reaffirm your power, and you might like take up new things, or you might explore, you might leave home, you might have a midlife crisis and say, I'm out. I got to go discover myself. I don't want to die this way, right? It depends on where your personal Saturn is and how you've dealt with it consciously. Because the more you consciously stay with your Saturn demands a certain kind of confrontation. The more you stay with it, the more likely you're going to have a success. And these don't have to be tough times, but they're very isolative. Like you can feel alone a lot with Saturn transits. That's just a common feeling. And if you are feeling alone, if you happen to be feeling alone, a lot of that is the result of just seriously just a Saturn transit. It doesn't have to be any more than that. And it passes, but it's also very important that you embrace it. And we're going to talk about that. Now, real quickly, before we hit the second Saturn return, I want to see how you all are doing again, because I sort of talk a lot, right? So let me check on you guys. Alicia is in the house. Thank you for being here. Julie, thank you. Didn't have an alarm to join today. I know a lot of times that first day, that's what Jennifer was mentioning. I think it's like you have to adjust to a time change. It is so fun though to think that it's earlier than what our minds are telling us. Welcome, K Dragon. Kay's an advisor over at 1-2 along with Jennifer. Thank you for being here. 1-2 listen, 1-2 listen, 1-2 listen. Crystal, I'm happy to have you here. Welcome. Tiffany, time change challenging. Don't know what happened to me yesterday, but boy, emotional roller coaster. See, I guess for some, I forget, like this one going back to standard time to me is the one I've always celebrated. Like, give me that damn hour back. Why are you took it in the first place? But I guess it is disruptive when you've gotten used to a certain way. Terry, thank you for being here. Let's see. Hey, Mark Husson, I'm in Arizona where there's no time change, but now it means this show is at 9 a.m. instead of 8. I didn't think about the problems that would cause, Terry, but I want Colorado to join Arizona in that no time change thing. And I think they're talking about it. Now, they've been talking about it. The world's been talking about it forever, but whatever. I'm late. I just don't observe daylight savings. I love that. Yeah, daylight savings, the one that takes the hour away. I'm done with that one. All right. Alicia, Virginia, perfect weather also. Yeah, we're having a good kind of thing here. I know it's going to change. It better. I just invested in a snowblower. I need a snowblower. I'm sorry, I ain't pushing that stuff. Nadine, I love your little doggy. Good time for a cleanup fall. Okay, I'm just going through the list real quick, you guys. Laura, welcome. Pamela, good to have you here. Had my birthday on the 4th. Happy birthday, Pamela. Gosh, I hope it was awesome for you. What a wonky day. Plumbing problems. Had to stay with my son and daughter-in-law. Had a blast anyway. Had my wonderful handyman come to the rescue over the weekend and save the day. Good. I'm glad it wasn't as bad as you expected. What breakdowns. See, if it were a Mercury retrograde, you know that's all we'd be saying. All right. So things happen without the Mercury retrograde. And I'm so glad. Yes. Happy birthday. I'm glad it wasn't bad. Let's see. Quelly, thank you for being here. And Jennifer, so true. I'm supporting clients on chats a lot more lately. It's off the hook. I love it. I hadn't put it together with Scorpio season, but of course, that's Jennifer Locksme, who is an advisor at 12listen.com. I think I've said that, but I'm so happy to have you here, Jennifer. Let's see. Loving what this Leo moon energy. Woke up at 2 a.m. to daydream about what's next. Leo rising in the first. Oh, Charlene, welcome back from the 12th house visit of the Leo moon. Jennifer sharing this cosmic donut sticker because it's perfect for Monday morning with Mark. Oh, it is too. Boy, I'd like to bite into that thing. Good morning, Mark. Maureen, welcome. Beth, Scorpio here. Birthday on the 12th. I turned 50. Happy birthday. Yoo-hoo, Beth. That's Sunday. Good job, girl. I love that. I'm glad to be over the 35-year hump because, yes, a lot of pressure at that age. It really is. And I'm glad you're over it too. I think we forget it's easy. We forget. Nobody wants to relive all that struggle that we go through. And we're sort of like, get over it when you're over here talking to a 36-year-old. I know a couple of 36-year-olds and they are really having a struggle, but they don't necessarily like, when it's when they were 15, they don't want to hear the advice because their struggle different. Right? I'm old now. They don't want to hear it from me, but whatever. It's our last corporeal journey with unknown destinations. That's the lie. It's true. Okay. Tiffany says in 2nd grade, my teacher, Mrs. Hale, did not believe me that I was sick and needed to leave class. It was the first time I decided to be defiant. You, the first time in the 2nd grade, Tip? It's hard to believe. I love that. Turned out I had almost 105-degree fever. I was so sick I had to be in periodic cold water. Jeez, it was a horrific experience. By the way, this is apparently not recommended, the ice baths. Well, you lived, and I'm glad you lived. That's so good, Tip. What a great example. Hi, Mark. So thankful to be able to hear you live this morning. I always look forward to your show. Suzanne, that is an amazingly sweet hug. Thank you. Glad you're here. Raven's in the house. Raven, I love your work. I love what you're doing. Raven's all over 12 Radio. She keeps things moving, that girl. I appreciate you, Raven. Thanks for being here. Tara, I got married at 35. Tara got married at 35. That's one way to start tying up that security, too. I love it. I hope it was a good one and you're still married. I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions. My mom was diagnosed with lung cancer when I was 36. Don't miss this time. Wow, Fran. I wonder, like, did she pass? Was it terminal? I mean, wow, that's got to be tough. I get it though. Thanks for putting an asterisk by that point of 36. I just turned 45 yesterday. Happy birthday, Crystal. And finally, I feel like an older adult. I've been feeling sadness over fear of loss lately. Yeah. And you guys get used to it. So you are a Scorpio, Crystal, and happy birthday to you. Scorpios are used to that, the fear of loss. And I do it too. You get into those. I've woken up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, it's not that long. You don't have that long left. And sort of like, oh my God. And then I'll go through like, what are the scenarios? What if I die? Who's going to watch the doggies? I mean, I'm dumping that on John and oh my God, I can go. Right. And then you find this sort of like, oh, it's okay. relax this, or we got it. We got this. We got this. Just put one foot in front of the other and do it. We got to trust. But man, it can be scary. But congratulations. 45 is a great age. I think that's a great age. I didn't appreciate it. I never appreciate my time. And I have seriously liked all my age. I'm 67. And I've appreciated the youthfulness that has stayed with me and the energy that stayed with me the whole time. But man, you get like, what? I mean, and everybody's like, you only feel, you're as old as you feel. It's like, well, that ain't true. You're as old as the calendar, I guess, says. But, you do what you do to stay vital, right? Or not, whatever. At some point you got to like, okay, now, yes, you can carry my bags for me, Mr. Can I take your bags for you? No one ever used to ask me that. They're starting to ask me, can I take your bags? I'm like, do I look old? And it's like, yeah, you do, girl. You do. You look your age. What's he going to do? Whatever. Okay. So now we got to talk about the Saturn return, because a lot of you are having a Saturn return in the Pisces time period, the late 50s people, right? 57, 58, 59, possibly 60, depending on the cycle of Saturn. But if you got Saturn in Pisces and you're looking at a Saturn return, you probably have Chiron in Pisces there. So many of you have this placement because it's like a ripe age group. I mean, it's particularly for, I think, this show, because a lot of you have followed me from Hay House, but you're pushing 60. Saturn has seen its every area of your life twice. Okay? Twice. And so this is the cycle that I think is different than all the other cycles, because this one, your second Saturn return, is the one where you kind of you had enough. And this time you're not afraid to do something about it. So at this Saturn return, we're like, anything that's in my way, anything that was once a problem, the way I've been doing this, the way I've been doing that, I want it to change. Now, I went to Schwab at the age of 60, right? I was actually just a little after my Saturn return, 61. I went to Schwab and applied because I wanted to do something extra. I was like, I want to feel vital again. Didn't know that I was going to throw myself into a sea of 20-somethings and be the only person at 61. And they were amazing. It was the best experience of my life, but I thought about it this morning. I was reviewing a little bit of those time periods, and the terror that I overlooked and maybe overcame, I could say, to sit in a room with these people, because my love of wanting to learn was greater than my embarrassment of having to play name games and, oh God, to get to know each other, those kind of things, and socialism. The way people were treating me, which was very kind for the most part. My manager hated me. He so didn't get why I was doing this. But I remember the reclutch to really engage the gear again of that I could do this. I'm vital. I can hang. It's all right. And it wasn't about hanging with youth. I didn't realize I was going to be in that sea of youth. It was about, can I confront life? Can I face some things that are scary to face? And would I be willing to hold for myself through them? And I did. And it changed me. It seriously changed me. Because I learned so much, number one. And number two, I got out because after a while I could see the fun. I saw through the curtain, and I saw, oh, okay, this isn't fun, and I don't like corporate mentality. And it was weird. It started getting weird, but after the fun wore off, it took 2 years. Anyway, enough about me. In your Saturn return, you guys that are facing it, this is a good one. This is one that you will be strong, and you will feel the strength. You have little to fear. You have only things that you want to pursue, only things you want to do, only things that you sort of take the shackles off. Even though it feels restrictive, because Saturn has to feel restrictive, it forces us to fight through some of the things that we anticipate are going to hold us back. We have to fight through those. Saturn wants us to fight for ourselves. And I say that in quotes. Saturn doesn't want anything from us. It just is up there, a rock spinning. But the metaphor of Saturn is to stand, to endure, to don't move away from it, to go towards your truth. And at this second Saturn return is when you get to do that. And regardless of what you have been taught, regardless of the wounds that you've been carrying, this when you get to walk through, because we're just walking through once during this time, right? We walk through once in this consciousness, maybe. I'm just saying, okay, it gets into the level of belief, but let's just say I'm thinking the identity as Mark this is my shot one time. Okay. And each of us have that. And then maybe come back as something different. Maybe not come back. Who the hell knows? Whatever your belief is. But at this point, I got to think of it as like, it's my one shot through, because I had, I'm not reliving childhood. I mean, it all looks like a linear motion to me forward. So second Saturn returns, very powerful. And then right after that, you begin your third one. And this time you're a warrior. This time you know how to deal. Doesn't mean that there isn't pain, there isn't shakeup, there isn't things that you got to confront. But you have some strength inside of you that you will recognize. And that is a guarantee. You had that on the first time around, like the first time around when you were 28. On the second time around, you had that strength in you, which is why you went forward. So, okay. Let me make sure you guys don't have any comments. I want to look at sort of like what it means to have it in Pisces. And okay, I think you guys are, oh God, no, I forgot to go down a little further. Sorry. Hold on. Let me just take a look. Okay, hold on. Yeah, can I take your bags for you? Hilarious. That's right. That's what, you'll get that question. You'll get it. I'm saying no right now, but I'm leaning into, maybe. Okay. I'm 56. I've been looking into going back for another master's or some sort of continuing education. Oh, good, Julie. I'm so glad. Feel comfortable if you decide to do it. Just know, man, it's kind of fun. I love how you bring light to a positive spin on harder planet. I agree with the strength of the Saturn walk. Thank you, Nadine. Listen, you guys, Scorpio here. What comes after 70? Hey, Denise, we'll talk about that for sure, because we do the same cycle again. Once you've had your return at 60, at like 60-ish, the next one, the first, we enter the 67 and then it's 74. So the next one it's 74. Okay. And that one is the same thing as, Tiffany in the second grade. Okay. That's the one where don't tell me what to do. I think I got this. And it's strength. Like you'll meet some 75-year-olds that have like, there's no difference. It doesn't decline like we think it does when we're young. Okay. So you have that to look forward to. Very exciting. Okay. I lost my mom to, I missed some of these, you guys. I'm so sorry. I lost my mom to metastatic breast cancer at age 36. I'm so sorry, Maureen. That is such a tough thing to do and to go through, both for you and for her. Yes, Scorpio thinking about loss is very true. You guys, Scorpios, we have to think about it. You have to look into it. Remember, the Scorpios are the ones that when they hear the knock, they're in bed and they hear a noise. They're the ones that run to the noise. Everyone else is running away. Scorpios are like, I am not going to go to bed thinking I don't know what that is. I will find out what that is. We have to know. We go after it. You have to go after it because it's your nature and because of what your mind will do if you don't. And if you didn't go after it, then it's fine. You'll do it another way. No, she's alive 7 years later. My mom with lung cancer, Ellsworth Fran. She said her mom is still alive. She just had a birthday and a cancer anniversary. Her name is Maureen. Oh, Maureen, happy birthday. I'm so proud of you. Good job. That's so exciting. Oh, that had to be scary. Happy ending there, you guys. Lung cancer. So good. Okay. So when it comes to Saturn, you guys, as a metaphor planet, if you didn't have the paint on the road or the guardrails on the highway, you'd get off the road. What would happen? You have to have Saturn boundaries. And Saturn is the one that sort of like makes it possible. Do you know getting old isn't like, what did Betty Davis say? It's not for sissies. It's not, we have to confront, because like some of you have families and you think like, oh, my kids will visit, or whatever. They'll take care of things. Some of you don't. Well, then you think, oh, who's going to take care of me? What if I died and nobody called for 3 days? You think of things like that and you prepare for them and you confront them. And then you have to then give yourself that hug, give yourself that moment of what comforts you to know it's going to be okay. Whatever happens. Because if you're not here, okay, you're not here to deal with it anymore. It's all right. We'll take care of it. We'll figure it out. So Saturn isn't about death. It's about the things we have got to strengthen. Like you got to get strength in, that upper part of your body because you're going to be lifting, that kind of thing. Only with Saturn, it's emotional. When it's in Pisces, it's particularly like that's the one. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, ruler of the 12th house. So in traditional astrology, it's like prison, and it's the end and the beginning. It's drugs. It's, lucidity, am I going to be lucid? And so sometimes Pisces brings, and it's movies, and a lot of movies will be about prisons. Watch, oh gosh. Or prisoners, or the war that's happening now. I mean, look at the images coming up. It's horrifying. I'm not going to weigh in on it at all. Everybody knows what's going on, and everybody has their take on what's going on, right? So you don't need my guidance, but the imagery, it's hard, and it's very sad, Piscean. And it's very Saturn in Pisces, right? Because what Saturn does is it makes very sensitive those things, the sign that it's in. So wherever your Saturn is, that sign, you've had to learn lessons around that sign over and over and over and over. And if you have Saturn in Pisces, you had to learn about addiction. You had to learn about addiction of another person, like moving in, like merging with somebody, or maybe you were a teetotaler your whole life and ate perfect food, but that's like became your addiction. Like you have to look at that. And during this time, we're going to be looking at where where Pisces is in your chart. You have to look at where Saturn's rolling through, because that's a big deal. And wherever Pisces is in your chart is where the I don't want to call them obstacles, but where, the song, I Can See Clearly Now, the rain has gone. It's like, I can see all obstacles in my way. Saturn's saying, you can see now. Let's look. It's in that house. So see where it's in. If it's in, like, say, for example, your 7th house, then it'll be clearing relationships. It'll be like, what am I seeing here? What's going on here? It'll be a sobriety. And it's an interesting word to use, sobriety, when Saturn's in Pisces, because Pisces is not the sober sign. And by sober, I mean Pisces is so influenced by the effects of things around it. That's why you see all these pharmaceutical commercials. Would you not think, if you were visiting the U.S. for the first time, that our airwaves were owned by Giardia? I know they have a singing the songs. I'm like, oh, God help me. There are so many. And then that weird, don't take this if you're allergic to it. And it may cause, like, well, of course, don't take it if you're allergic to it. Well, how am I going to know if I'm allergic to it? And then the monologue at the end about really fast talking about you could die, it could cause this, it could cause this. And it's like, wow, this is such a weird reality we're living in. That's very Piscean. Okay. Neptune's been there, so it's double worse. Now, at some point, Saturn's going to come and meet up with Neptune. We're going to have some great things to talk about then, because I think things will get crystal clear and at least be a lot clearer. So take a look and see where Saturn is rolling through your chart. See what house it's in. That house is going to be critical. And you can look up houses like we can talk about them more later, but you can see what house is becoming crystallized, or where the issues are starting to pull your attention. Is it the fifth house, or is it about having fun? Is it about children? Is it about your kids? Is it about being a kid? Whatever. Is the sixth house about your daily work, your health, how you're taking care of it? Is that the focus? Is that the issue? And you keep going through each of the houses. Eighth house would be money from others, inheritance. It would be about looking deeper in more intimacy at what you're doing in your relationships. But Saturn's going to crystallize some things for us. Just pay attention. So you know the age cycle, right? And so after 74, then we hit. It's always pretty much a 7-year cycle. So between 74, we have. I was going to add that up. Let me just get a calculator. Well, no. I know what I'll do. I don't want to get sidetracked because we only have 4 minutes left. Next week we'll take it up to 90 because that's the third cycle. You're in the third cycle now if you've had your second Saturn return. So if you're over 59, you're in your third Saturn cycle. And the third Saturn cycle is hella fun. I mean, it's where no bullshit, but you're facing things in a different way of facing things. Okay. And, I would like to get into that with you guys because it's a good journey and there's some really good information out there about it. The moon is going to go into Virgo this afternoon. If you haven't been to Mark's Power Peak yet, the word is 1-2 day. That means 12 day. And the reason it's 12 day is because next Sunday is the 12th. I know we just had a birthday. Somebody's celebrating their birthday on that day. But you can go over to markspowerpeak.com and use 1-2 day to sign in. But next Sunday is where the computer of 12listen.com randomizes all the pricing. So you can talk to any advisor at a reduced rate. Kind of exciting. Last week we did our Halloween show. Super amazing. We had the seance show was particularly good. I hope you guys can hear it. Jay's put all of it up, and Jay and Kelly McLean were the hosts of that. I like to Jay was the producer. Kelly sort of was the director and the writer and the organizer. So the moon goes into Virgo today at 11:39 a.m. I wanted to get that for you. I got that from markspowerpeak.com. And then, so we're going to have a little break at 11:30. Let's see, the moon. So when it's void, of course, now, isn't it? Yeah, from last week. Okay, never mind. So it clicks in at 11:39 a.m. Let's see how we do. You all pay attention to that because we're in this void, of course, cycle right now. And I think, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of void of courses, but I like how if I do a show under them, they're random and they feel kind of, I don't know, surprising. All right, I'm going to come and say goodbye to you guys real quick. Sorry for the delay. And now I have that Jardia song in my head. Oh my God. No, control is everything to me. That's I have freaking pharmaceutical songs in my brain. That's what I get. All right, I'm on the page now. I'm refreshing. I'm checking out any of their last minute comments. Let's see what we got. Oh, Lynn, happy birthday, Lynn. I'm not going to say when because she's a Scorpio and I don't want to embarrass her too much. Anita Ahuj is in the house. Anita's amazing. She's an advisor at 1-2 Listen as well. Thank you, Anita, for being here. I'm glad I came back to see you guys. Hi, Mark. Pisces and Saturn in the 8th. Oh, if your Pisces is in Saturn and it's in the 8th, you're having your return take place in the 8th. So I want you to take a look at that. That's about how you see the world below the surface of things. It also can be about inheritance. It can be if there's any issues around inheritance or money or things like that. Pay attention, okay? Very important restructuring of how you deal with the deeper parts of life, Linus, okay? That's really good. Learning so much about Saturn cycles. I appreciate your sharing. Thank you, Lynn. Raven said so far so good with her second Saturn return. Yeah, it was pretty. It's so much better. I can promise you guys. And thanks, Alicia. Okay, I think you guys, let me just do a last refresh. I think we're ready to hit the road. You know, Christina LaFrance is up next. I think she's been having some fun in Mexico, but I'm not positive. We'll see. She said, Karen said, I like to joke about drug names being baby names. Karen, you're great. Great job on the Saturn return info, trying to get this thing figured out. Thanks truly so much. You guys listen, it's all going to be good. It's fun when we share it together. Thanks for being a part of my life and letting me share it with you. I had fun. I have fun going over these things with you because you all you crystallize it for me and make it real in such a good way. Okay, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the 1-2 everythings that we do. Stay tuned now for the Christina LaFrance show, and I will be back here same time next week, but I'm always available. If you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, this is Mark Husson. This is the Mark Husson Astrology Hour. We'll see you next week.